Welcome to another episode of Real Talk Real Estate, as we are going to continue our series on seller prep and getting your house sold in the springtime. Today, we're going to talk about all things prepping your house for selling it and getting the top dollar for it.
Right. So why does prep matters? Prep matters so much because everybody is comparing everything to online. So you got to be ready when you're talking about you're going to sell your house, because if it doesn't match the aesthetic that's happening in your neighborhood or in the surrounding areas, you're going to have an issue. So let's get into it.
I think the best way to think about it is, if you were the buyer, what would you want to see when you're going in and looking at a house? So putting that broadly speaking, whatever you think should be that 10 times.
Facts. Because what you think is definitely, unfortunately, and we don't want to say that, but it is a little bit lower standard than the buyer, right? Because you are partial, because it's your house, it's where you've been, you love it, you love the colors, you love all the things that you've done in your house. But your buyer might not. And when the spring inventory comes, you get a ton of competition. So you want to make sure, you want to make sure that your prep stands out. You got to have your prep be top tier in relation to everything that's happening in the neighborhood.
The goal is to have fewer objections and stronger offers. So the less clutter and the more prepped and pristine your house looks, the better you're going to have those stronger offers, more competition, and everything all encompassing.
So let's start. Pick up your camera if you can, and let's walk through your house. Let's start in the entryway. What things should we be telling them to do in their entryway? Now, if you have, obviously, if you're in Metro Detroit, you know it's snow. It's snow. Now, obviously, we're getting you prepped for the spring, but at the same token, the salt can leave stains, things of that nature. You want to make sure those items are cleaned up. And if you're waiting till spring to list, which is completely fine, you want to make sure that you're constantly cleaning up that salt, because that can wear into your tile and that can leave a mess for the springtime to come.
Yeah. Also, especially if you're going to be living in the house when it is actively listed, you definitely want to make sure that there's no clutter when you first walk in. First impressions are so key. You don't want shoes at your feet when you walk in and tripping through the door. The kids' clothes and backpacks should all be nicely, neatly hung on the mudroom coat racks and whatnot.
Or in their bedroom in the closet.
Yeah, exactly. The less you have, the better.
100%. As we said it before in the last video, declutter. And if you think you've declutter again. Because, like I said, your perspective and the buyer's perspective is going to be totally different. So you want to make sure you can have the less is best, 100%. Yes. And make sure that you have really good lighting in your front area, in your walkway, and in your foyer, whatever space that you do have when you walk through the front door. You want to make sure that is as bright as possible. Make them feel like they're walking
warm
into
and welcoming.
100%. And if, like I told you, if you guys don't want to sell grandma's chandelier that you have hanging in your foyer, remove it. Down. Go to, where's it? Not Bob's. What's the place? What do they call that place? Menards. Menards has really great light fixtures for very inexpensive. And sometimes people will keep them because they have really nice modern things that you can just swap out. Anything that you don't want to sell, take it down before your photographer comes in to take pictures, because if it's in the pictures, the buyer's going to be wondering, well, where's that fixture I saw? Where's this light? They're going to want to know where things are. Washer and dryers. If you're not selling those, either get new ones or remove them.
Yep. All right, so we've touched on the entryway. Let's talk about the kitchen. I would absolutely say, especially when we're continuing to talk about you living in the house while showings are happening, you got to make sure everything's cleared off the countertops. It needs to be like nothing is really out and about. You might have a few pieces of cooking appliances. Yep. Thank you.
Put your air fryer up. Put your Ninja up.
Yeah.
Now you might want to leave your Smeg on the counter if you have one. Whatever. Like, just make it look very clean, very concise, so that it doesn't take away from the house. You don't want so much stuff. Like, if you got your air fryer, your blender, your juicer, and your toaster and your roaster all on the countertop, let's move it out the way.
It takes away the visualization of what, you can see obviously what you could put there, but your stuff is not the crap that they're going to have, put it bluntly. They need to be able to envision how they want to lay out the kitchen ultimately on their own.
Paint. Guys, that, and we're going to heavily dip into that, but if your kitchen, if you got like the grease stains and the splashes, wash it down. If it doesn't come out, get it painted. Paint will solve a lot of your problems when you're dealing with prep. And if you need a good painter, comment below the word paint and we'll get that to you.
Yeah, everything needs to be clean, in the kitchen, especially it's a kitchen. But even more so, it needs to be really clean when you have people coming in, especially when, like you said, like grease stains and whatnot.
Yep.
You want it to look clean and
the cabinets,
super presentable.
Yeah, the cabinets, the microwave. If you guys are leaving the microwave there, make sure it's cleaned out. Make sure, again, that can deter people. Even if they love the house, the smallest thing can be like, well, if they see the microwave dirty, they can make a decision and say, well, if the microwave is dirty, they're probably not cleaning the rest of the house.
Exactly. So. It's perception.
Yes.
All right. So
we walked through the kitchen. We walked through the entryway. Let's go upstairs to your bedroom.
Yes.
And check it out.
First things first, you need to always make sure you have your beds clean and made.
We're not saying anybody's going to take a nap.
No.
But you want to make sure the bed is made and it looks presentable to the buyer's eye. Because, again, perception is everything. First impressions are everything. When they walk in, they want to feel like they can sleep in this room. They don't want all the clutter and all the things. Now, granted, we understand some things can be moved. And we're not saying to move the dresser and take it out and have the room empty. We're not saying that at all unless you plan on moving out of the home. But what we are saying is make it as tidy as possible. Having things clean and top-notch is the best way to go.
Especially your closet. If it's a walk-in closet, obviously you're still going to have stuff in there. But make sure it's at least maneuverable, so that people can go in, check to see how much space, and
clothes they can fit.
It's not like don't throw everything in the closet, because they still will look in the closet.
They will walk in there. And even for your bed, like if you have the opportunity to like make it more neutral as far as like your bedding goes, make it neutral. Have it so that it's almost like a blank canvas for your buyer. Like the neutral tones, the soft, warm tones are what you kind of want to put in there so they can think, oh, this is nice.
Leave your curtains open, especially in your bedrooms, so people see how much natural light you get in those rooms as well.
Natural light is a winner every time. All right, so we made it through the bedrooms.
Bathroom time.
Bathroom.
There's obviously very few things you can probably do in a bathroom, but the obvious ones are making sure that the bathroom is fully cleaned every time. Definitely make sure that if you have interrupted or uneven grout, you go and have that grouted out and nice and smoothed out. The last thing you want to see is caulking that is got some mildew on it, and that's just kind of like a red flag, I would say. Yeah, gross, right? So if you have those situations, you should have the grout redone so that it looks nice, clean, and perspective is key to everything. Again, lighting, making sure that everything's nice, bright, smells good. Everything that you would need to think about when you're cleaning a bathroom, just a little bit more tenfold.
And if you can see the pattern of what we're saying, lighting, your cleanliness, the leaving the perspective to the buyer to make that decision on if they want to live in the house. It's all common throughout the whole entire house. From your entryway to your master, to your primary suite, to your bathrooms, all the way down to the basement. So when we get to the basement, what do we want to see? Obviously, I know a lot of people use that for storage, right? Storage. But make it tidy, make it neat, make sure there's no mildew. Especially in Michigan. I know we got a lot of water in basements, guys. Check the walls.
Definitely, you don't want to see storage overload. So if you already know you're going to be moving, maybe take some of the stuff out of the basement and put it into the garage, or maybe get a storage unit. The less you have in the basement is probably the most crucial, because people need to vision, and you don't want to be walking into all of everything that you took out of the house in the basement.
For sure, 100%. So make sure those water stains, those musty smells, all the things, sub pump, make sure you get it checked, right?
Yeah, yes.
All the
sump
stuff.
Pumps, maybe even do a test of have everything tested before we put everything live mechanically wise. Pipes, sewer line, sometimes even a pre-inspection is good to do before you maybe run into an issue that you didn't know about when it comes to getting offers. So
we walked through your entire house, ended at the basement. Now let's walk outside, your exterior. Obviously, as we're transitioning from the winter to the spring, there's not a lot you can do with the ground, but obviously
Yeah.
if you're listing it before the snow is up, you want to make sure everything is shoveled, everything is salted, and all of those things. Now, if we get into the point where, you're in March and, this spring, obviously you want to be able to get your hedges cleaned up, get your, your beds that are underneath your hedges, get those cleaned up. If there are any weeds, like I said, perception is everything.
Yeah.
And your curb appeal is the first thing that will turn people off 100%.
Yeah.
I can say my current house, I drove by multiple times before I walked into it. And if I hadn't walked into it, I probably wouldn't have bought it.
Yes, curb appeal is super crucial. And especially if we are looking in listing your house in end of March, early April, we do live in Michigan, so we do know that we could still have all 4 seasons leading up to end of March, early April, and 100%. So on. So curb appeal is extremely crucial. Like Brittany said, making sure driveways are clear if we have snow, having a spring cleanup done relatively early on, getting it mulched so the curb appeal looks a lot better from the street. Early on in April, you're not going to get a lot of flowers, but that are blooming, but as long as you can make it look as beautiful as you can from the street, people will more than likely come in, and that will also be reflected in the photos that we have taken for your house.
So, if you're thinking about selling this spring, make sure you comment sell in the comments, and we'll send you over a list to go through your house to do a checklist for the things from top to bottom.